and deep also. And that is a beautiful book. Milinji was there with us, and I think he also has fallen in love with that book
Oh,
after
you
that.
are talking. Oh, you are talking about the Fox one.
Yes, the boy, the
No,
fox,
no,
the mole, and the horse.
that
That
book.
one.
I can really say that that book really
Milinji got
changed.
inspired and started his
Yeah, absolutely,
illustrations, no?
absolutely. The whole idea of that means, the whole thing which I like is the simplicity. That's absolutely awesome. So I refer to that book or the whole idea of I started drawing again and everything just because of that book. So I'm really thankful to this. That's why Deepa and this photo group that how a simple book and one line can change your whole perspective. The way you look at things, and then at that time I asked the question that why I stopped drawing, and then I started drawing. So and yeah, then it comes all the benefits and all that. But definitely, Manaselvi, I like to yeah, if you want to take that book again and join with this one, it's awesome book. The insight it bring. People normally ignore this type of book, saying that it's simple, it is just a 40 minutes, 30 minutes. No, but it's not like that. Just one sentence actually contains the 100 other books, in that way. So yeah, please take this that book this year. Definitely we are with you. It's nice to explore those sentences, each and every one. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So yeah, so I will check how my
Yeah,
schedule
yeah,
permits that, and we'll
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe
Take
for
your time.
some other
No
day.
rush, no rush.
So now we'll
You
start
want to
with
take that
this.
book as a reading and then connect both of these, or you just want to refer that book in this learnings?
No, I'm if the group has already read, so there is already a kind of a rapport with that book, so people know the characters. All I wanted to do is try to bring the concepts of this book versus what things happen there. So connecting both so that the understanding deepens.
That's a great idea, Maniselvi.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So today we continue with our chapter on tweaking small things in our life, and this specific section is tweaking the mindset, where we have looked so far on the fixed and growth mindset. What is the difference? There have been examples shared where how mindset works and how the growth mindset is more open and you know more growth oriented in the sense it will open you up for more possibilities. Now we continue our reading, and we are now continuing our reading from page 113. Yeah. So Becca Levy from the Yale School of Public Health is interested in researching participants' answers to questions just like these. She then follows them for decades, tracking their health. People who answer true on the questions above, those who see aging in terms of inevitable decline or disability, are more likely to suffer from conditions ranging from respiratory illness to hearing loss to premature death as they get older. Just read the questions for the benefit. How would you respond to the following was asked to these participants, whether true or false. First, old people are helpless. Second, as I get older, things in my life will get worse. Third, I have less pep this year than I did last year. In one of the Levy study, for example, and nearly 40 years after being asked for their beliefs about aging, those with negative views on aging were twice as likely to have experienced a heart attack or stroke than those with positive views. And here's the kicker. This dramatic difference held up even after Levy had controlled for known risk factors such as age, weight, blood pressure, chronic health conditions, cholesterol, family history, and smoking history. So it wasn't these physical markers at the study's start, but rather the respondents' mindset at that time, mindsets about a fixed negative future that truly mattered to their long term health. In a different analysis, Levy showed that people with fixed negative views on aging die about 7.5 years earlier than those who are more open to a positive future. This isn't to say some negatives about aging aren't real. There's nothing particularly fun about having a stiff back and creaky knees and discovering strange brown spots on the back of your hands. But certainly, when it comes to our minds and coping abilities, many of our perceptions of decline are tied up with our assumptions. When you were 24 and you couldn't find your car keys, you might have thought, whoa, out too late last night, or even just too much on my mind. When you are 50 and you can't find your car keys, you may jump to, oh, senior moment. The fact is, 50 years olds can simply have too much going on as well. So can 80 years old. Studies show that on average, seniors have greater life satisfaction and make fewer errors at work relative to their younger counterparts, and that various aspects of thinking and memory actually improve with age. Yet, when we have fixed negative assumptions, we tend not to take any of these facts into account. Our brains care deeply about what we believe. A few milliseconds before we make a single voluntary move, our brains fire electrical waves in preparation. Only after that do they send activation signals to the necessary muscles. This preparation for action, called readiness potential, is outside our conscious awareness, but it is activated by our intention. When we have a reduced sense of our own agency and effectiveness, it weakens the readiness potential of our brain. A malleable sense of self is a cornerstone of emotional agility. People who have a growth mindset and who see themselves as agents in their own lives are more open to new experiences, more willing to take risks, more persistent, and more resilient in rebounding from failure. They are less likely to mindlessly conform to others' wishes and values and more likely to be creative and entrepreneurial. All this adds up to better performance, whether that's in the C-suite, R&D, ranger training, or relationships. Tweaks that activate one's sense of self can also have a profound effect, even when the tweak is purely grammatical. In one study, eligible voters were asked before a major election to respond to survey questions in which voting was conveyed either as a verb. How important is it for you to vote in tomorrow's election? Or a noun? How important is it to you to be a voter in tomorrow's election? In the first version, voting was presented as just one more errand to be checked off a to-do list on a busy day. The second version, though, positioned voting as an opportunity to be someone of value, a voter. Just that one change in phrasing from to vote to be a voter boosted the officially recorded voter turnout by more than 10%. We all have potential qualities and parts of our identity we wish we could change. But when we try to make changes and run into difficulty, we sometimes focus too much on what we assume is our destiny. We will say, I am fat, I have always been fat, and I will always be fat. Or I am just not creative, or even I was always going to grow up to be a doctor or an accountant. Tweaking your mindset starts with questioning notions about yourself and the world that may seem set in stone and that might be working against what matters to you, and then making the active choice to turn yourself toward learning, experimentation, growth, and change, one step at a time. Waging finger or willing heart, tweaking our motivations. My mom is a tough cookie, and when I was growing up, she eschewed the typical womanly wisdom so often dispensed from one generation to the next. She never told me to play hard to get or to never wear white after September 1. Instead, she used to tell me, Susan, you should always have screw you money. After my father passed away, my mother was left to raise 3 children and spent years simply trying to get by. She did this by selling stationery to businesses, self employed in a job she detested. She had to wake up at 5 a.m. so she could pack parcels of pens, pencils, and other sundries, deliver them all over Johannesburg, come back to take customer orders, and do bookkeeping, and then collapse exhausted into bed at midnight. She managed to do this while simultaneously grieving the loss of my father, who was her lifelong sweetheart, helping my brother, sister, and me through our own loss and ensuring we were fed, clothed, and educated. My mother understood firsthand how horrible it feels when you are trapped by your circumstances, basing each decision on what you have to do instead of what you want to do. And she wanted to protect me from such a fate. You always need to have just enough money to say, screw you, she advised. That way, I would never have to stay in a job I hated or in a relationship that wasn't working for me because I didn't have the financial resources to make a move. By urging me to set up my own personal screw fund, my mother wasn't simply doling out some sound personal finance tips. She was also emphasizing the fundamental importance of autonomy, the motivating power of being able to do things out of your own free will and volition, as opposed to being coerced by some outside force. Engaging our autonomy, the power of want to rather than have to, is the second prerequisite for tweaking your way to significant change. Ted was a London based client of mine who eventually became a good friend. He was 40 pounds overweight, and because he traveled a lot for work, he found it difficult to get into a healthy routine. After a long flight, he would show up at a hotel tired, hungry, and missing his family and seek out comfort in a cheeseburger and a couple of beers. Then, while watching TV, boredom would send him over to graze from the snacks in the minibar. His wife and doctor were after him to lose weight and exercise, but somehow, knowing what he had to do never actually got him to do it. Ted had married late in life, and he and his wife couldn't have children, so they adopted a boy from Romania named Alex. Alex had been orphaned at a young age and had spent his early years in truly heartbreaking circumstances. He had been kept almost exclusively in a crib, which prevented him from walking or exploring. He had barely been held, touched, or spoken to, and was so malnourished he developed long term learning disabilities. Despite these difficulties, Alex was a very talented artist who expressed his inner life in incredibly evocative drawings and paintings. One day, when Alex was 10-year-old, he drew a picture of himself alone, desolate, and abandoned. He titled his picture The Orphan. Now, Ted was not surprised at the theme of the work. Alex often depicted his early memories. This time, however, Ted noted that the figure in the picture was not a toddler but a young adult. When Ted asked about it, his son began to cry. Through sobs, Alex explained that he just knew his dad would die in the next couple of years because of his poor health habits, leaving Alex fatherless yet again. In that moment, he later explained to me, Ted immediately went from feeling that he had to change his health habits to feeling that he wanted to. Suddenly, he was intrinsically motivated to get healthy purely out of love for his child and the desire to see Alex grow up. Ted began to make small changes, ordering salad instead of rice, placing the Minimer candy out of sight when he traveled, and exploring cities on foot rather than by cab whenever he could. And those changes added up over time. He lost weight and kept it off. And even now, whether he's on or off the road, he stays with his routine because he wants to. In trying to bring our actions more in line with what really matters to us, we can double down on discipline and willpower. But as most of us have learned the hard way, this rarely leads to the best results. You may drag yourself to the gym, but how often does that lead to a great workout or sticking with an exercise routine? Or you may call up your relatives out of a sense of obligation, but how often do you have a meaningful conversation? When we enter into something this way, compelled by a wagging finger instead of a willing heart, we end up in an internal tug of war between good intentions and less than stellar execution. Even when the end goals, improved health, better relationships with family, are supposedly in line with our values. 2500 years ago, Plato captured this inner conflict with his metaphor of a chariot being pulled by two very different horses. One horse was passion, our internal urges and yearnings, and the other intellect, our rational moral mind. In other words, Plato understood that we are constantly being pulled in two opposing directions by what we want to do and what we know we should do. He saw that it was our job as the charioteer to tame and guide both horses in order to end up where we want to be. It turns out Plato wasn't too far off the mark. Modern neuroimaging tells us that whenever the impulse reward seeking system in our brain, passion, conflicts with our rational long standing goals, intellect, our brain tries to pardon the pun, rein things in. Let's say you are trying to eat more healthily. You are at a restaurant and you spot a delicious looking chocolate mousse on the dessert tray. That triggers activity in your nucleus accumbens, an area of the brain associated with pleasure. Boy, do you want a chocolate mouse? But no. You remind yourself, can't have it. As you muster up the strength to pass on dessert, your inferior frontal gyrus, a part of the brain associated with self control, kicks in. With both these areas activated, our brain is literally fighting with itself while we try to make a decision about whether to dig in or abstain. And you would like to continue from here?
I think we're hearing 3. So do we want to read or
Sorry?
the session is till 3:30, no? So it's already about 3 o'clock.
No, I'm saying anybody wants to read from here? From here on?
I can read if no one is there. Anyone wants to read? Yeah. No, you have to tell me till how much you want us to read and where you want to stop, Manisalvi.
Yeah, I will tell you that.
To make matters even more complicated, our baser instincts have a head start. Again, according to brain imaging, when we are faced with a typical choice, basic attributes like taste and are processed on average about 195 milliseconds earlier than health attributes. In other words, our brain is encouraging us to make certain choices well before willpower even enters the picture. This might explain why, in one study, 74% of people said they would choose fruit over chocolate at some future date. But when fruit and chocolate were put right in front of them, 70% grabbed the chocolate. Because this is the way our brains actually work. Primitive drive trumping well considered judgment, it's highly unlikely that your inner school mom wagging her finger at you is going to get you where you want to be in the long term. Fortunately, there is a tiny tweak we can make to help us sidestep this ancient competition between the two horses pulling our chariot. Just like TED, we can position our goals in terms of what we want to do as opposed to what we have to or should do. When we tweak our motivation in this way, we don't have to worry about which part of us prevails, our passion or our intellect, because our whole self is working in harmony. Want to goals reflect a person's genuine interest and values, their why. We pursue these kinds of goals because of personal enjoyment, intrinsic interest, because of the inherent importance of the goal, identified interest, or because the goal has been assimilated into our core identity, integrated interest. But most important, these goals are freely chosen by us. Have to goals, on the other hand, are imposed, often by a nagging friend or relative. You've got to lose that gut, or by our own sense of obligation to some internal narrative or external goal, typically related to avoiding shame, good grief. I look like the good year blimp. I can't go to the wedding looking like this. You can choose to eat a more healthful diet because of feelings of fear or shame or anxiety about your looks. Or you can choose to eat well because you view good health as an intrinsically important quality that helps you feel good and enjoy life. The key difference between these two kinds of reasons is that although have two motivations will allow you to make positive changes for a while, eventually that determination is going to break down. Invariably, there will be moments when impulse gets ahead of intention, and 195 milliseconds is all it takes. Studies show, for instance, that two people with the same goal of losing 5 pounds will see that same serving of chocolate mousse will very differently depending on their motivation. The person with the want to motivation will physically experience it as less tempting. The desert looks nice, but I'm just not that interested, and will perceive fewer obstacles in the process of sticking to the goal. There are lots of other healthier options on the menu. Once she's tweaked her motivation, she no longer feels like she's struggling against irresistible forces. Want to motivation is associated with lower automatic attraction toward the stimuli that are going to trip you up. The old flame, the glimmer or a martini passing by on a waiter's tray, and instead draws you toward behaviors that can actually help you achieve your goals. Have to motivation, on the other hand, actually ramps up temptation because it makes you feel constricted or deprived. In this way, pursuing a goal for have two reasons can actually undermine your self control and make you more vulnerable to doing what you supposedly don't want to do. Anyone who ever been around a 6-year-old knows how bulky they can be anytime you insist that they have to do something, whether it's going to bed or brushing their teeth or saying hello to Aunt Lola. One evening my son Noah was complaining that he had to do his math homework even though he actually loves math. His gave me the perfect opportunity for what is parenting parlance they call a teaching moment. Have to or want to? I asked. He grinned. Want to, he said, and bounded away to do his homework. If life is a series of all small moments, each of which can be adjusted ever so slightly, and all of which is combination can add up to significant change, imagine how much ground you could gain by employing the simple tweak and finding the want to hidden in the have to. Once again, that's where knowing what we truly value becomes critical. Understanding what we want in the big picture helps us find the desire in circumstances where we otherwise might only see obligation. For instance, it might be easy for me to say that I have to work on yet another beautiful Sunday to finish this book. And if I head to the library to write, I might start to resent the time spent away from my kids or away from the sunshine. And while I might get some work done, I won't have put my full self into it. However, if I position the work as a want to by reminding myself that no one forced me to write a book and that by doing so I'm helping spread the important message of emotional agility, my feelings of joy and energy are activated. I became open to new ideas and interpret my editor's notes as collaboration rather than criticism or commands. And at the end of the day, I'll likely still be energized enough to enjoy some time with my husband and kids before turning in for the night. We all fall into these subtle traps of language and thinking, I have to be on dad duty today, or I have to attend another boring meeting. When we do this, we forget that our current circumstances are often the result of earlier choices we made in service to our values. I want to be a father, or I love the work that I do and want to excel at my job. To be clear, I'm not suggesting we should all simply think positive and ignore real underlying concerns. If you can't find a want to in some particular facet of your life, then that could be a sign that change is in order. If you entered your field because you wanted to make a difference in the world, but your company is focused more on the bottom line, it may be time to switch jobs. Or if you have come to realize that your significant other is not the person you thought he was, you might need to seek a new relationship. Finding a want to is not about forcing any particular choice, it's about making it easier to choose things that lead to life you want. Yes. Do we want to read this or stop here? Build to last. Should I continue? Anyone else wants to read? Uh,
Yeah, continue. Maybe 2 more pages, then I will take over. Nobody
yeah,
else.
yeah. The chapter is not getting over now, na?
It will
Like soon.
get chapter will get over by 126 page. So I'm trying, if we can complete then and discuss, it will be fruitful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Then I'll read accordingly. Like, no problem. We'll finish it then.
Yeah.
So you have a good loop covered. So yeah, Monday, because now we will be directly reading on Monday now.
Yes. Yes.
So it will be a big break,
Yeah.
2 days break. Build to last, tweaking our habits. Even if we have adopted a growth mindset and even if we are in tune with our most heartfelt intrinsic want to motivations, there's still a chance that our efforts will wind up in the attic of good intentions, right next to that fancy exercise bike or the expensive juicer we use maybe twice. The only way we can really be sure the changes we make are lasting is by taking the intentional behavior we have consciously chosen and turning it into that old bugaboo, a habit. We began this book with all sorts of warnings because the pitfalls of automatic system one responses, the autopilot behaviors we follow when we are not living life intentionally. But we have also acknowledged just how powerful habits can be, as evidenced by how difficult it often is to break them. It follows then that if we want to direct our behavior toward our values, if we want to reach the masterclass level of emotional agility, we should transform our intentional behaviors into, just scroll up, habits, making them so deeply ingrained that we no longer have to be intentional about them at all. The beauty of deliberately cultivating habits in line with our values and associated want to motivations is that they can persist over time with almost no further effort on good days and on bad. When we really paying attention, when we are really paying attention and when we are not, no matter how fragile we are the morning, we always remember to brush our teeth and to fasten our seat belts as soon as we get in a car. The ability to form values connected habits not only makes our good intentions durable, it frees up our mental resources for other tasks as well. Luckily, scientists have uncovered a few secrets to help make the process of creating habits easier. It is best-selling in their best-selling book Nudge. The economist Richard Thaler and the law professor Cass Sunstein show how to influence other people's behavior through carefully designed choices, or what they called choice architecture. You can't force everyone to become an organ donor, for instance, but you don't need to. All you have to do is set up the choice so that it's easier for an individual to become a donor than not. In German, you must explicitly consent to become an organ donor by checking a box to opt into the organ donation program. As a result, the donation rate in Germany is 12%. In neighboring Austria, by contrast, you are presumed to be an organ donor unless you deliberately opt out of the program. There, the rate of organ donation is almost 100%. We may not be able to switch our behavior simply by checking a box, but we can still apply the concept of choice architecture to our own lives. In doing so, we prime ourselves to form the good habits and will bring us closer to our goals. Habit is defined as an externally triggered automatic response to a frequently encountered context. We encounter organs, if not hundreds of these families' contexts every day. They generally respond to them automatically and unconsciously. But when we approach these situations intentionally, seeking opportunities to act in line with our values, we can use them to trigger better habits. Let's look at some potential value based intentions, the context in which you have, uh, sorry, I missed the line. You have the option to follow or not follow those values, and the tiny tweaks can put to work. Intention. You want to make better use of your time when you are on the road for work. Context, hotel room. Choice point, turn on the TV as soon as you enter or leave it off. Intention, you want to keep the romance alive in your marriage. Context, evening at home. Choice point, mumble a greeting when your spouse comes in the door and go back to what you were doing to get up and emotionally engage. Get up and emotionally engage. Intention, you want to savor your limited time with your children. Morning at home context. Choice point, checks email first thing or spend pajama time clowning around with your little one. If you generally turn on TV, mumble a greeting or check email as soon as you wake up, changing these behaviors will likely require some effort at first. But soon the new choices will become ingrained, allowing your unconscious brain to direct you to where you need to go. Researchers in a series of studies of more than 9,000 commuters put up two different signs at a train station. One sign was written in want to language that appealed to the commuters' desire for autonomy. Will you take the stairs? The other sign was written in have to language that commanded people take the stairs. When the signs were placed some distance from the stair versus escalator decision point, giving commuters enough time to deliberate on their behavior. The will you take the stairs sign had the greatest impact. Commuters who received this sign even choose to take the stairs at a subsequent decision point where there was no sign posted at all. So, so the message that promoted autonomy, the one that allowed them to want to rather than have to, resulted in more lasting behavior. However, in an interesting twist, when the signs were sorry, when the signs were placed right at the stair versus escalator decision point, people were more likely to obey the take the stairs command. Can someone just take over? I'm got some throat this thing.
Yeah, I'll continue. However, in an interesting twist, when the signs were placed right at the stair versus escalator decision point, people were more likely to obey the take the stairs command. Connecting with born to motivation is key when it comes to creating effective change. But when you are starved for time, or tired, or ratty, or hungry, knowing exactly what you need to do, in other words, taking the active choice out of the choice, is enormously helpful. Here again, we see the power of automatic response or habits at work. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, shows that exposure to cues where we associate with rewards, that is tasty food, money, sex, cigarettes for smokers, drug paraphernalia for addicts, activates the brain's reward area, the structures and systems that drive people to seek out the pleasure that's readily available. Limit the exposure, limit the temptation, and you make life easier for the executive brain, the part that integrates the cognitive and the emotional to arrive at an appropriate course of action. In the manner of Thaler and Sunstein, here are some more tweaks you can make to alter the architecture of your choices. The no-brainer. Switch up your environment so that when you are hungry, tired, stressed, or rushed, the choice most aligned with your values is also the easiest. Let's say that you want to drop a few points. Studies show that people tend to eat 90 to 97% of what is on their plate, regardless of the size of the plate. So use smaller plates. Based on that math, a plate that's 10% smaller should reduce food intake by 10%. Remember the study I cited earlier about how most people say they would choose fruit over chocolate at a later date, but then don't actually make this healthy decision when the fruit and chocolate are right in front of them. Do your future self a favor the next time you go to the grocery store by stocking up on healthful items and skipping the stuff that isn't. That way, when you are tempted to binge on cookies later at home, you will have a setup your environment to promote the healthier choices. There will be no cookies to seduce you. After a while, you may discover that munching on nuts or an apple provides all the satisfaction you need, and you will no longer crave the fat-filled sugar bombs you once did. Research also shows that people tend to snack when they are bored, and the most people most of the time are bored when they watch TV. So remove the gateway drug and cancel your cable subscription. Instead, get into a book that really excites you. Play charades. Dig out that ukulele you bought on a whim and learn a few chords. Organize all those shoe boxes of family photos into the elegant series of leather-bound albums you have always dreamed of lining up along your shelves. Plants and animals are pretty much stuck with the environment they have. But our big brains allow us to act on our environments instead of merely having them act on us. This provides the opportunity to create the space between the impulse and the action to live the kind of life you truly want to live. If there is some other behavior or habit that you would like to change, consider what might be getting in your way. There is likely a small tweak you can make to address it. A piggyback, add a new behavior into an existing habit. Studies show that when participants choose a new specific action to piggyback onto an existing habit, add some fruit each time I eat my daily granola. They have significant success transferring the new action into a habitual behavior. Let's say you value having more quality time with your kids, but you always end up thumbing your smartphone while you are with them instead of being present. You can tell yourself, I won't check my phone, but as long as it's right here, the urge to check it just for a second will be warring with your intention. Perhaps you're already in the habit of putting your keys in a drawer or bowl as soon as you walk in the door. Create the new habit of stashing your cell phone in the same place you put your keys and turn it off. Want to create opportunities for more face-to-face time with your team at work? Make your daily mid-afternoon coffee, run a group effort, and use it as quality connecting time. You ease the creation of a new behavior by piggybacking it on an existing habit, meaning you don't have to make a major adjustment to your routine. The pre-commitment. Anticipate obstacles and prepare for them with if-then strategy. Let's say you have had a fight with your boyfriend and want to smooth things over. You know you both have a tendency to lose your temper when things get tense. But that yelling at each other makes you both miserable and you sometimes say things you regret. You want to resolve the situation, not continue as you have in the past. Often, when we can anticipate unpleasant situations or reactions like this, we allow ourselves to get hooked by them. And even though we may want to change, when confronted by these emotional triggers, we can't. But emotional agility allows you to take a step back and seize these moments as opportunities to make a values-based commitment to yourself. Before you even talk to your boyfriend, you can commit to the idea that if he raises explosive topic X, then you will hear him out with an open mind. Similarly, you may know that when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., you will be tempted to roll over and hit the snooze button instead of getting up for a morning run. So the night before, tell yourself that if you are tempted to sleep in, then you will immediately haul yourself out of bed, no matter how tired you feel. Because as grumpy as you might be for a few minutes, you'll feel 1,000 times better an hour later when you have started your day with a bit of exercise. Even a sleep adult brain will remember this if-then commitment. And the more you get up to exercise, the easier it will become until it's finally a habit. The obstacle course. Offset a positive vision with thoughts of potential challenges. Earlier, we discussed how positive thinking can hinder emotional agility. Changing our habits is a case in point. Researchers asked some women in a weight reduction program to imagine they had completed the program with new slim figures. They asked a second group to imagine situations in which they might be tempted to cheat on their diets. 1 year later, the woman who had imagined the transformative weight loss had lost fewer pounds than those who had forced to think realistically about the process. Similar studies in various countries have looked at people with a wide range of goals: college students wanting a date, hip replacement patients hoping to get back on their feet, grad school students looking for a job, school children wishing to get good grades, and so on. In each case, the results were the same. Fantasizing about smoothly attaining your dreams doesn't help. In fact, it hinders you by tricking your brain into believing that you have already achieved the goal. In a sense, these positive fantasies lit the fizz out of the bottle, dissipating the energy we need to stay motivated and really follow through. Those who achieved the best result did so through a combination of optimism and realism. It's important to believe that you can achieve your goal, but you also need to pay attention to the obstacles most likely to get in the way. This is called mental contrasting. In recent study on healthful eating and exercise, people who practice this mental contrasting were working out twice as long each week and eating considerably more vegetables 4 months down the road than those in the control group. Mental contrasting has been shown to help people recover more quickly from chronic back pain, find more satisfaction in relationships, get better grades, and better manage workplace stress. By imagining the future while clearly assessing the present reality will link the two to each other. This creates a mental pathway that includes both the obstacles and your plans for getting past them. That path can lead from where you are now to where you want to be, and that's a proper thoroughfare for change. A mind that is open to growth and change is a hub from which values and goals can be brought to life and realized. There is tremendous empowerment in appointing yourself the agent of your life, in taking ownership of your own development, career, creative spirit, work, and connections. Tweaking your mindset, motivation, and habits is about turning your heart toward the fluidity of the world rather than planting your feet on its stability. It's bringing a playful sense of curiosity, experimentation, and what ifs to bear in the service of living. It's setting aside ideas about what you will become, results, goals, and outcomes, and engaging freely with the process and journey, taking life moment by moment, habit by habit, and one step at a time. Yeah, so we have now finished moving on. The first part, which is making small changes, that is some tweaks in your habits, beliefs, or mindset. We will stop for here today because this is a second part to the moving on, which is the teeter-totter principle, right? Which is chapter 8. We'll start continue this reading on Monday for chapter 8. Yeah. So far, whatever we have read, I think this is written in a very convincing flow of thoughts, and certain new concepts were introduced. But overall, I feel many of the things we knew already, but the way it has been put with examples and in the flow that it is put, it becomes more engaging, or rather more convincing to the mind that this is implementable. So, any thoughts on this? Anything which you could connect well? Anything which was like an eye opener? Anything which you resonated with your experience or answered what you were searching for? Please go ahead.
Oh, yes, just to share. So I could resonate with that. Should be, want to and have to. So I have, so it's basically, even in this, one thing that we do is we add one more thing, which is I choose to in that. So that is very empowering at times, like, because like, it's like when you want to do something, uh, you still sometimes just end up not doing it, and have to makes you obligated and makes you feel that you have to do it out of obligation or forcefully. But that choose to is more of like a choice, so that makes a difference. And even similarly as the want to that she explained, so I resonated with that part of it. And it is always, one of my mentor used to always say this, that you should never put, wherever you find in your vocabulary there is a should or have, like there is a should, I should do this or I have to do this, that is basically coming from your beliefs, or your conditioning or things like that. So you have to recheck those beliefs. So that is one thing that I just resonated with. And most of the part of the book, of the part that we read today, about this vocab, like language tweaking and all of that also, and the small, I felt like a lot of that resonated a lot with NLP, and how we learn things in NLP also, about tweaking things, and small changes can make big differences. So today's chapter, I resonated a lot with many of the learnings from NLP. So yeah, that was my perspective on that.
Thanks, Mansi, sharing that want to, have to, and choose to. Yes, I resonate with that one. Um, the want to, I want to, or should, all these, definitely we need to remove this from the vocabulary. There is nothing like have to or this thing. It shows the resistance whenever we say that I should do this one, or I have to do this. Then there is a resistance which builds inside you. Very first concept when I received this, it is a release technique which I mentioned. So today I will share the videos from the mentor, the person who actually came up with this release technique. So there I learned this one. So when I say I have to do it, I should do it, these are the statements, emotional should, so that you are resisting that thing. And when you put the resistance, by itself it becomes more and more difficult, whatever the situation. So better release that particular resistance and use this word. Definitely we use that affirmation, I choose to. So where I first implemented this one, like we in my office, we used to, like bosses or the company, they ask us to come on Saturday, Sunday. So there is a natural resistance to work on those particular day. It is a natural this thing, like there is a complaint inside it, there is a resistance inside it. And then I came to this method, that instead of saying that oh, my boss called for the office so I have to go, remove these words and use I choose to. So many times it is just our mind's emotional reaction to resist everything. Every situation there is some reaction in our mind which is resisting this thing. So instead of going in that direction, that is what author also mentioned, if I choose to this thing, so it shows the very, that word itself shows that you are in control of that situation. And what thing happened is, when I actually went to our office, those 2 days working in office is not that dreadful or whatever I'm thinking. So it proves that whatever the resistance that you put, or you think that something will happen in those, the resistance automatically goes, because you come across the reality saying that it's not that bad. going to office on Saturday, Sunday, or boss call. But then I started using that formula everywhere. Wherever there is a party, there is somewhere where their internal resistance comes. Okay, instead of saying I have to go, or somebody is asking me to go and all that, instead of resisting that thing, just because anyway you have to go, yeah, for example, you're with your family, so just use this word, choose to. And that technique is really profound, because it gives you complete control. And when you actually go through that situation, the situation is totally different. Many parties I seen, after party, coming back from the party, I thought, oh, actually that is not that bad, and many situations are like that. So sometimes our mind portrays that it is a very, it is not a good experience, or that, and resistance it provides, but there is no point in resisting everything. And there I got my this thing. And most of the today's topic I relate very, very related to 2 3 books, which definitely we read before, but I like to mention those. One is Atomic Habit, really connects with all micro things in that book. Second is a Hyper Focus, and third one is Indistractable. So all those 3 books are related to today's topic. But I love about this book is, yes, she brings this emotional agility factor into all the habits. So that I love. She talk about the fake positivity. That is again, I really loved. Yes, there is a reality. Yes, there is no like law of attraction also says about action. So many times while we speak, while we read those type of books, law of attraction books, people just use the sentence, and they completely lost the reality around it. So for me, reading those type of books, or any book actually, that is what we are doing here, is to check with reality, what is the reality. Okay, and then apply this thing and come up with your own methods. Definitely these methods which mentioned in these books are very simple. The one which I will give you the videos and everything, from the Lester Levison, this thing, there are around 1 hour videos. Plus go and watch through it, go through it, and then any pick up any release technique, okay, whichever you like, and then start using it. So I love that one. And the very last point is, yes, author mentioned about get the financial stability and say screw you. Okay, again I resonate with that line. Financial stability or finance, this thing is very, very big thing in individual life. That's again thing. I read this affirmation, I really loved it. Like, I owe no one. So that actually, that statement give me a huge relief. When you do not owe anyone, financial or emotionally or any of this thing, it gives you such a big freedom. So basically then, yeah, definitely how I can get this one, how I don't owe anyone. So I need to get the financial this thing, stability, and all the stability in my life. In the same way, emotional stability. So these books, or this type of books actually helps you to build that balance in your life, because reality is actually very different from what we read and what we preach. Okay, but the beauty of these books, yeah, it helps you to build that stability in your life. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, Sunita, Beenal, any points you have to share?
Nothing new from my end. It's just agreeing to the fact that yes, realism should be there, and that is actually the main hurdle in achieving the change in the habits that you want to inculcate, or any new habit that you're trying to uh, break into for yourself. So if you're not realistic about the hurdles that we're facing, then the challenges that we face in making that habit into a behavior and cementing it for ourselves is very difficult. In fact, I'm going through one such thing. So I think I totally resonate, and I totally, this book totally puts the point across for me.
Okay. Good that, we are taking some practical lessons from here, and it's useful. So good to know that. Yeah. Beenal, any points? Okay, I think.
I attended very much late, so I just remember the takeaways from Milind and Devi Sunita ji.
Okay. So basically this, we actually the previous chapter of walking your why, then the next chapter was moving on, and in this moving on, this first part is making some tweaks. So basically they are talking that once you understand your values and you start making actions towards it, maybe you'll not be successful at one go. Maybe you'll not be successful in making the entire change. So instead of overhauling or looking at making too many drastic changes, look at the next possible change. So that it is that one change, definitely you can succeed. The probability is more. So in that case, your mind will help you, mind will not resist you for that change. Second is, if you make drastic changes, it becomes overwhelming at times, like so many things are having to change. So that might become overwhelming. And then finally, the spirit of doing all those changes is to bring about a change will not happen, maybe. So they are insisting that if you can do a tweak in either your belief, either your mindset, or either your approach, or either your behavior per se. So these 4-5 aspects, they are asking to gentle tweak in these aspects so that you can reach to where you want to reach. Now, understanding values is one thing, but how many of us are actually putting our heads together, reflecting back on our values is something which we have to answer for ourselves. For me, what I've seen is a lot of things are still on autopilot, in the sense that I have not placed the value that drives that action. I have not placed what intention, but there is some kind of an unconscious value or intention or belief which is working in those actions. So only if I reflect back and if I actually sit in inquiry, maybe I will be able to discover that I'm aiming at, say, situation A, but I'm getting, the intention is getting to set to reach B. So basically, even though I intend something good, but I'm not driving it towards the right destination, is what I see often. That is one thing. So understanding the intention behind each activity, like for example, they had given in this book, what we read today, that how people are looking at their health. Are they thinking that they are going into basically receding health, or they are going into a positive mindset, a growth mindset, where they think, yeah, things will not be very easy, but it's not going to be difficult, which will not be, I will not be able to manage. So if you go with that mindset, everything will seem to be possible. But one has to actually set those intention where challenges arise. So I think there is a lesson for us to understand where we see a challenge. Maybe we need to tweak our intention or the value, or see what is that we want there. Right? Then comes to, the part where we set some intention. Say we make some minor changes, but we are not consistent in that. So that is also a lesson which has noted here, that consistency, the flow has to happen, because some activities will need, certain time to form a habit out of it. So I'm used to do work in such a manner, so I'll have to do it couple of times in a different way for that different way to become my habit. So that was another learning here, which might need a conscious effort rather than just intellectual mind observing or understanding these concepts. Yes, financial stability was a very important point which was brought forward. We can't ignore the fact, yet we will have to maybe take it in a manner that it balances our values also. That is, if we are thinking that our values are not in alignment with that, we will have to maybe reframe our statements, what we are saying to ourselves, and relook at our values as well. That where is that friction coming? Where is that resistance coming towards financial stability or towards financial freedom? She actually put it in a different way. She said financial stability or freedom, she put it as freedom to buy anything, do anything, whatever you wish to do, you can achieve if you have enough money. So when you put it that against just being money minded, it becomes a totally different perspective to it. So so the way we are wording it, the way it induces feelings is also important basis the example she stated about choice. So choice is there, but how many times are we sitting and seeing that for this one action, I have 4 choices. And out of these 4 choices, now I choose this one option. I don't see myself doing that. So that's where she is also saying that you understand there is a choice architecture when you are projecting in your sales and all, that is fine. But when you have to place choice in front of yourselves, are you doing that? This was a question that came to my mind when I read that example. And basically, what I see this entire activity way from the first, that is, show up to the emotion, step out of the emotion to reduce the impact, and then turn to your values, walk your why, that is, use your values to direct your action, and bring in actions in small tweak. All this is somewhere trying to build a alignment between what you intend and what is actioned out. Right? So there has to be an inner alignment for us to finally reach our goal, is what I think is the overall theme of this book. And she is very well building each component of how actually we can do that, how we can overcome the resistances that we have within ourselves and use the the things which are already working for us, like a habit. We saying we only have bad habits. So we have good, and whatever bad can be changed is what the possibility comes. And it can be changed, but it needs some period of, again, we need to dedicate some amount of time to practice it enough so that the habit gets changed. So habit as such is not a problem, but habit which is not in alignment with our goal may be a problem, or maybe not a goal but just a fulfillment. It can be unresourceful as well. So that is where we have to be conscious that we don't bucket everything into good, bad, ugly, or this is not for me. Rather, make a conscious choice of what is right or what is taking me towards and what is taking me away from what I want. Yeah, first the want itself has to be understood well, is what I get as a crux of this chapter, that we have to understand our want. When the want is clear, have shoulds will disappear, and have shoulds will disappear, we'll become, I think, a more better, happier people to be around. Yeah, so that's so far about this chapter. Anybody wants to add anything?
Manishalvi, I have one question for you. Like, actually, I was not fully listening today due to what. My question is like, what is the unique insight today that we didn't know before? Like, I know that the author is trying to put some perspective, some different unique perspective to understand day to day our life scenarios and how we can deal with them better. But is there anything unique insight that we didn't know before from today's reading?
So
Just curious.
can I just add?
Please go
Yeah,
ahead,
Manish.
Mansi. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So Manishji, just for you, like I know you asked this few times before. I just want to say that we all have our own unique insights from whatever we read, whatever we share, whatever discussion we do over here is the unique insight that we are sharing. So we are reading the same content, but what I will read and what I will perceive out of it will be based on my own conditioning, my own experiences. And so the same para, same thing read will be perceived differently by Mani Selvi, by Sunita, by Milinji, by Binal, by every one of us. So, so I think we all are sharing our unique insights only. So that is just, I just wanted to add, but that is my perception of this. But yeah, Manisali, you can add to this whatever you want to.
Yeah.
Milinji, you want to say something?
Yeah. Quickly, actually, yes. Mansi, yes, Maniji asked this question previously. And to you answer that this thing for me when he asked that this same question yesterday. For me, when we come together, like this reading session, as you mentioned that everyone has their own views, perspective. Yes, many things in this particular books we read before. I already mentioned the three books. This thing, Atomic Habit, Hyper Focus. I can give you 10 books which is around productivity and all that. For me, that is not the whole idea of that. Okay, what's there in this particular book. Okay, it is how I relate this particular book in my life. I'll just share a simple story. Okay, there is this school in which there is all small kids. They bring the gift to their teacher, on Teachers Day. And everyone, since they are very very rich kids, and this thing, they bring a big gift to their teachers. But there is this small little girl, beautiful actually, and her gift is not that fancy. It is not that wrapped very good and all that. But then teacher, everyone was actually all those kids, definitely they want their teacher to pick up their one, and teacher to say that their gift is the best gift, because yes, they are from rich family, big give big wrapper with nice shiny wrappers and all that. But then teacher, what she does, she picks up the box from this girl. Okay, and actually she unwrapped all the other gifts, but then she picked up this one and then show this thing. There are some shells, the shells, and from the seashore, she gathered. And the teacher said that these gift or these seashells are very very, actually they were not that box is not pretty, the shells are not pretty. Then everyone confused, saying that why, we bought such a expensive gift, but she's picked up this thing, these small shells. Then teacher explains that it is not the shells which is, definitely there is like there is a love for teacher, all those affections and gratitude is there, but it is the hard work which she did, bringing all those shells together. She walked to the seashore. I live many years next to seashore. The amount of walk she did, such a small kid, to bring the shells together for the teacher. Okay, so this particular gift is a top gift. I love this because of the efforts she bring together. Okay, so in the same way, this book, like, yeah, there are many things which we already know from Atomic Habit. Okay, but the thing is that this particular author, okay, from her years of experience, she brought these all ideas to us, through books. Okay, that is one factor. Another factor is this group reading. Okay, you all angels, you all people who are actually sharing your life experience with me. So it is kind of bringing shell to me, and there is a value around it. Okay, if I start comparing, saying that, okay, if I already know this particular things, and it is other way around. Okay, it is the efforts, like, okay, in this particular session, like in this whole 10-day series, the amount of uniqueness which Maniselvi brings. Okay, that is awesome. That is amount of effort from her life actually she put into those notes are really really beneficial for me. Okay, many, like, I'm in 50s now. Okay, but the way she brings this, the blueprints which she created through that notes and all that, it ticks many of my points, saying that yes, this is really good, this is really really good, this I have to implement, oh, this is the area where I have to improve. Okay, these things never happen outside. Okay, I have attended many paid courses. Okay, I'm not going to tell you the prices and all that. No one addresses the emotional issues or emotional the complexities of it in a stage, in such a way that what we are doing here in this particular sessions. Okay, and I'm 100% out because I have many of these emotional programs and everything, YouTube freely available and all that. I can't compare these sessions with that. Okay, but for me, what the value is bring, it is the effort that you all angels put together. Okay, and that brings the value because it is backed by the experience. That is what I love. So that is something. I'm not actually answering Manish question, but
No,
how
no, see,
I'm just
I got
explaining
your.
how valuable is this.
No, no, I
Or
understand.
inside
No,
wise,
see,
definitely if you go to Chat GPT and if you put the book name and everything, it comes with the summary and all that. But yeah, I value everyone's perspective. There is no other this thing. Thank you.
see, yeah, my question was, see, the thing is, see, whatever I do on a day-to-day basis, I just try to put some notes in my own diary that, okay, what did I learn new today? Anyway, we are doing so many things on a day-to-day basis, and every act is a muscle, right? The more we use it, we make our muscle better. It might be any habit or anything like that. But
Correct.
sometimes when we make a distinction, okay, it's just like, let's say, I give an example of a cricket, right? So when I watch, AB de Villiers, right? He has a unique style of batting, right? 360-degree guy. So my question is that how I can improve on myself. from the current situation where I am today. Anyway, whatever I'm practicing, I'm reading something, I'm listening to you guys, I'm helping myself in some way, right? I
Yeah.
do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but apart from that, just like it is my desire of the heart that I want to learn some new ideas, new technique, just
Correct.
to get better in life. That is the perspective.
Okay, I will give you answer, Manish ji. Again, this is okay. AB delivers. Okay, he is a 360 batsman. I will give you the cricket this thing. Okay, Surya Kumar Yadav, he is also 360. This thing. People say this is a 360 guy. Okay, in one of the interview they asked us Surya Kumar Yadav that you are like AB delivers. He said no. AB delivers is different. And I am different. I am Surya Kumar Yadav. Okay, so please don't compare myself with him. Okay, because Surya Kumar Yadav, he came up with his own style. Okay, if you see the Rishabh Pant in Test cricket in a faster ball, he do the reverse ball. He's many times he jump and fails and he do that
I
particular shot.
understand
Okay,
that. See, Melanji, my question. Sometimes, see, we learn something from every great batsman, right? Every great player. We learn
correct,
something new. So
correct.
that is my intent. Like, okay,
Yes, your
uh,
intentions,
yeah.
see everyone. That is what NLP again. Everyone has a positive intention, but we need
Mhm.
to find out our unique this thing, our style by our own. For example, when just now Mani Selvi, when she summarized everything, okay, the only one, if you watch the recording, the one word she is using again and again, which is actually, okay. And again, Mani Selvi, this is for you. Last time you introduced one program to me, which is around 4 days program. If next time it comes, I will share the link. Okay, it is a 4 day session. There, that person, the speaker, he speak like Jiddu Krishnamurti, which is he's a great philosopher. Okay, he in one complete session he talk about only one word, which I really love. And today's summary, if someone asks me, it is that particular word. It is actually. Actually. So actually, what exactly you do? Actually, do you implement? I want to be a good father. Am I actually a good father? Answer is no. I have to become. So in the same way, in today's whole session, okay, if there are 100 methods in this particular book, I need to ask my question, that one simple word. Actually, are you practicing? Answer is no. Then yeah, the 100 books is not going to help me. Absolutely no. No Manas Selvi, no Mansi, no one can help me if I'm not actually doing anything. So that's the thing, Maniji. We need to find out our own answers. There is no ready-made answer. That is what Nitya Shanti yesterday's this thing is. So we listen to someone. Okay, we listen to Sandra to look out for the answers, that someone will give me the answer. That is not, that is what my interpretation. No, it doesn't happen in that way. You need to just listen. Answer will come to you. You just need to listen. Okay, and actually implement it. From that, answer will come. you know that's the thing. Otherwise we read 100 books and all that. You can find out on Google. But the thing is that yes, we need to find out our own. Every individual is different. My answer
Uh,
is not at all going to be your answer. Your perspective is not going to be my perspective, but we need to find out our own batting style. That is how
uh,
everyone done. So yeah, I love your example. Everyone wants to do that 360 batting and all that. But yeah, everyone has to, like, Sachin Tendulkar is never 360 batsman, but he is a
come
top star. Amitabh Bachchan is not a this thing. Shah Rukh Khan came after it in that way. So life goes on. But yeah, we need to find out our own stars, and our own unique learning from this. Thank you.
my yeah, Milinji, my perspective was that, see, I do my journaling every day. Okay, so at
Good,
the end of the
good.
day, when I'm doing something, I just try to, I love to focus on, like, did I gain any new insight from anything what I did today? So it's just my
Good.
curiosity and my way of working. Yeah, so
No,
nothing
it's
like.
good. We need to be curious. That's why you are in this particular session. That's why we are listening to you
And
yesterday.
I don't mind. See, I just speak from my heart. Yeah, I don't mind.
No. It is not. No, last session you spoke.
Yeah, Maniji, you wanted to listen to Mani Selvi's perspective, right? Like, so
Yeah,
do
yeah,
we
yeah,
want
yeah.
to let her speak? Like, so Mani
Okay.
Selvi, do you want to add something since he was asking you?
No, basically, Manishji, what I would actually ask you to do is, I would like to ask you to read the section of, walking your why. The reason is, as Melanji said, that each one will have their takeaway. And irrespective of how many books we have read or whatever is our current state, I would feel that that section or that chapter of this book will actually give you a lot of other points if you really go through it very well. And that is why my suggestion is read at least that chapter very thoroughly, because I think that is the heart and soul of the entire book. Okay, that is one. Second is, if you ask me what is the crux of today or what is the highlight, is small tweaks. Make one small change, and also you check whether you are going in the right direction, because we are into more of a auto mode. So we'll have to bring ourselves into a conscious mode, right? So for example, if we are being habituated to do a work in a one particular way, we'll have to challenge that time and again in future. We'll have to challenge each time we take up some work with where am I, what am I intending, how am I reaching out, and whether where I've intended I have reached or not, and make changes. So that is the main crux of this. And none of this, I would say, is new to us. But the way she has put it in the book makes it more convincing, because there are a lot of convincing points she has addressed in each paragraph, which makes it more understandable by us and also digestible by us, that we convince ourselves that this is something which is practically implementable, rather than just flowery words and just concepts or techniques or concepts on paper, right? So that is the main, I would say, point here that she's saying is more on the implementation part. So tweaking is small changes, focus on the implementation.
Yeah, that is one perspective, right? So yeah, I do appreciate that, and thanks for clarifying. And just my intention is always there to be well understood, well clarified, and this is how this my I feel myself better and get better in whatever I do.
I
So
understand, Manishi, but what I'm trying to say here is, see, I can tell you 10 other concepts, but I want you, each one of you, to justify this book, because we are reading this book primarily. So my views or my other points in addition should not make, I would say, the heart of the book to change. The heart and the soul of the book has to be retained. So to enjoy that, I would encourage you to read it. At least if you can't read it because of schedule, do read this Walking Your Why, because that is the, I would say, the heart of the book, right? So that
yeah.
is my attempt, right? It's nothing that as Mansi and Milind have already informed, that it's up to each one of us to understand what is my key takeaway there. And if you ask me, then I always summarize, and that is also coming out in the AI summaries that is being rolled out. So it is eventually coming to each one of us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So after this, I just had one case study, actually, if you all have time. Basically, there is one case where this is a practical case which I have faced. So I want you to understand from a emotional agility perspective as to what can be changed. So in this case, see, most of our scenarios in life revolves around where we struggle, I would say, is one, self-management, how we manage ourselves in that moment. Second is how we handle feedback, be it feedback from the life, be it feedback from others, be it feedback from situation, be it feedback from our internal self-criticism that is coming. So how do we handle that feedback? So today's main this example is around feedback. Okay, so Raj is a person who is working for, he's a junior. He gets a critical feedback from his senior, right? And this is not the first time that is happening. He got it telephonically. Raj is not comfortable to receive a feedback. The feedback was a bit harsh and it was partly unfair. Raj, as usual, was stung by the feedback, but he didn't address any issues or unfair part of it. He just was silent because of respect, fear, or appearing defensive, and due to hierarchical pressure. Yeah, because he's a senior, he thought that, in his mind, he had a thought that I cannot overcome, I should not cross talk him, I should not back talk him, and I should just adhere to him. So what do you think has happened here? And what do you think can be done? Any ideas?
Can you just repeat it once? Like, I just want to process it better.
Yeah. So you can see the screen, right? So Raj receives critical feedback from a senior that he feels is pretty unfair. Instead of addressing it, he stays silent due to respect, fear of appearing defensive, and hierarchical pressure. He bottles up his anger and frustration, thinking about it for days. This pattern repeats frequently.
Yeah. So,
What is the question?
So the question is, from feedback perspective and from emotional agility perspective, how should he handle this situation going forward?
so can I add my
Yeah, please
reason?
go ahead. Please,
Yeah.
please.
So what I would maybe, like, if I were in Raj pace, maybe what I would do is, first thing I would obviously feel bad, and then maybe take some time to get back out of like get back to normal. So I'll just process the emotions. I'll feel the feeling. Uh, and I'll try to go deeper into my thoughts about the feedback. Maybe questioning, is it true? Like, how is it just the person's opinion, or is it the reality? Have I really done the mistake, or have I really done it wrong, or whatever? I'll question it, and I'll just reflect upon it. And maybe what I would do, I would maybe take a review or feedback, maybe from my colleagues also, or my teammates, or whoever is involved, or who is aware of it, or who understands it. Maybe I would try to take their feedback also, and then derive and come to a conclusion based on the majority. Like, for example, if at least, if I ask five people, and if out of five, if three people say agree to the same thing as the senior does, maybe I would consider that I need to really improve in this area. Or uh, uh, and or or I just, and if it is the other way around, maybe I would think, okay, this is the opinion of this person, and I would just detach myself, understanding. And maybe also I would see, understand that, okay, this person maybe expects things in a certain way. So I would definitely try to improve in that direction to maintain the peace and harmony, and make the process smoother. So this is how I feel I would have operated. And yeah, so he bottles up his anger and frustration, thinking about it for days. His pattern repeats frequently. Okay, so basically, for me myself, I would say I would do anything and everything that it takes to break me out of the pattern. If I find the pattern repeating, I would definitely take it by itself as a feedback that, okay, this is something I definitely need to work upon, because it's repeating, it's a loop that I'm got caught in. So I will do anything that I need to. I will maybe upgrade myself, develop my skills, or whatever I do, but I will try to break out of the pattern. Personally, this is what I would do.
Okay, so you're
So
talking about the comment, the feedback that the person has received. So any part which is fair enough in that critical feedback, you are saying you will take the steps for that, right?
and I will try to break out of the pattern, basically.
Okay, so what will I have to overcome to break out of that pattern?
I will have to come
Due
to
to
find the
respect,
fact.
see his belief that
Yeah.
due to respect, fear of appearing defensive, and hierarchical pressure. Is he able to think straight if he is having this belief?
No.
Huh. So we'll have to address that. He will have to work on that as well.
Yeah,
Right?
there will be some inner work that will have to be done to understand what is becoming the trigger, or is this some pattern, like, is this something that happened in some earlier past, which became like a trigger, or so I would like to do some inner work, where I would try to identify if there is something similarity between what happened in my childhood or wherever where I experience the same feeling, and I would try
Okay,
to
this
process it
this
deeply,
person
maybe.
is actually a live example for me, and that's why I could relate more to this. Maybe given these limited facts, you are not able to understand the entire. So I'll just explain if nobody else has any further views.
Yeah, before Mansi, Mansuri, before you, because you know the person or this is a
Yeah.
real this thing. Okay, I just go by the words. Mansi beautifully explained. Yes, definitely action needs to be taken to break the pattern. That's correct. I'm just reading the word. For example, silent due to respect. Okay, fear of appearing and hierarchy pressure. So whenever there is a fear, first of all, this is just a feedback. Okay, the feedback is on the work. So it is just a particular area of the life. Okay, it is not at all related to the identity of the person. Okay, why in office situation like that, if this thing, then people think very extreme level, it directly affects their identity, that I may lose this particular job, or like people will always think about me in this particular phase. No, this is just a feedback. So he need to set the right perspective that this is not at all going to diminish his identity. So yes, as Mansi mentioned, need to understand the internally he needs to sort it first. So that is what we are learning in this particular book. Because feedback is just a the line also is made, it is a partly unfair. Partly unfair means, yeah, he actually agrees that okay, so there is some part which is correct. Unfair is, yeah, no, unfair is again emotional. It is again emotional. But when person does that particular analysis, internal strength, weaknesses, and this thing, and then it comes to the reality, saying that the situation is not that dreadful which initially he thought. So it is a more of the internal work. And yeah, that is what we are discussing here. There is very less outside. Everything is actually happening inside. So yeah, now Manaselvi, you put your this thing, what's
No,
actual reality.
Maniji, also, if you want to add something, no, like
Yes,
please,
yes, yes,
like,
yes.
what would you do? Like, how would you perceive this?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
So, what is your answer to this question? Like, your response to
Uh,
this question? So, it's just three of us. So, let's just have it all. Let's everyone just share their perspectives, I would say. I hope Manish, it's okay to go like a little.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah, Maniji, how would you respond, or what would you think of this situation?
Yeah, I will. My thing is that uh, I'll focus on have a comfortable meeting with my manager or whoever the person is, and I'll just share that like this is my current understanding based on whatever work I'm doing, and I'm open to feedbacks. I'm open to options that you can well, basically I will have an open discussion, and I'll say that this is my current understanding, but I'm open to your feedbacks, and I'm fully confident and to understand like what is expected from me, and like I'll work on that and get my job done. Yeah, I'll show my confidence to the person, and at the same time, I'll be very compassionate to give feedback and ask his feedback, like what is expected from me. Okay, and then I'll work on it, and I'll confidently say that uh, let me know what is expected from me, and I'll work on it and get it done in the best possible way. What is expected from me, like because I think confidence. What I feel that corporate and all that people like confident people who are open to speak, but in a proper way. You know, they give they know, they tell what is my understanding, and I'm open to your feedback, your suggestions, and I'm confident that uh, after you let me know what is expected from me, then I'll work on it and get the job done the way that is expected from me. So let me know like how you want to get it done. So it's just like being confident, open, and compassionate, and giving a sign of responsibility and commitment, basically. So I like to be that kind of a person. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now since the discussion is done, I want to divide this into certain sections. Okay. So what is actually the event happened is a feedback is given on the work, isn't it? Right? How do you think has the feedback been taken by Raj? Is it taken personally? Is it taken from a fixed mindset or a growth mindset?
Personally and a fixed mindset.
So we'll have to understand that majority, what happens is feedback is taken at a personal level, at an identity level, as Milinji said, right? And with the mindset we are programmed ourselves to do. So it's a more habitual way of the immediate trigger, immediate reaction will be an automatic way of behaving. That's where we'll have to pause actually, right? Okay. Then coming to, instead of addressing it, he stays silent due to respect, fear of appearing defensive, and hierarchical pressure. Right? So he has these beliefs. I have to be silent to show respect. Fear of appearing defensive and hierarchical pressure. Hierarchical pressure might have come due to the overall business structure they might have, or the business structure they are into. It may be cultivated also at some places, in some offices, that hierarchically you have to behave, right? Okay. Fear of appearing defensive. When I say fear of appearing defensive, overall this person's personality may not be a strong, confident one, right? So he might be a bit kind of a less confident or low confident person. Silent due to respect is something maybe we would have brought up, that to show respect, has to be that you can't cross answer the person, cross question the person, or argue with the person, right? So what I'm trying to see is from where all these beliefs are coming and sitting, and how is this actually making us disabled to do the exact thing that we actually may want to, or because the dilemma is coming. No, he's becoming angry and frustrated because he's not happy with the unfair, partly unfair. So he should have justified, but he's not justifying it, thinking about it for days. So this is becoming very unpleasant. The experiences get very, very unpleasant, and it stays for days. So your peace of mind is gone. That event, the feedback of the event is not taken by you, right? So basically there is nothing learned. So the pattern will repeat, right? So this is the sequence that is happening. Now, when I have to address it, he has to start looking this as a feedback. This is what is said. So that thing has to happen. The belief system has to be worked on, and he has to himself clear out that the fear will be there to some extent in anything that we do, but it is just an indicator that we have to be careful. So we'll have to be careful with words that we use. Hierarchical pressure, we'll have to learn to customize ourselves to the rules of the workplace also. Now in the entire thing, what is actually happening is the person is getting rather tuning himself to behave in such a pattern which is giving him anger and frustration, which is not taking him out of the loop. So due to this, he will or she will never be able to talk confidently or assertively in such similar situations. Or it will go to an extreme where finally the bottling up, the bottle will open, and all the frustration will come out. So here the learning also has to be there, that the person has to build a capacity or capability to have assertive communication, have a confident demeanor, and also to be ready to face with facts, analyze with facts, that what part of it was unfair. Was it totally unfair, partially unfair? And how do I take up this argument of wherever it was fair or unfair, right? So this capability building is where we miss out if we are actually going into this loop. The person will not bring up his capacity to be assertive, to be confident, and thereby we are losing all the feedback in the entire situation, right? Okay. Understood, or is there any confusion, any queries?
No,
no,
no, I
understood,
loved it.
understood.
Like
Yeah.
the way you broke it down into this explanation, it was amazing. Thank you for that.
Okay. The consequences. Internal resentment and frustration builds over time. Emotional stress affects his well-being and confidence. Lack of open communication prevents a resolution or growth. The same issues keep reoccurring and Raj's behavior becomes rigid and stuck. So he will never be able to come out of this loop unless he breaks out. He genuinely takes steps to break out. Relationship with colleagues and seniors may suffer due to unexpressed feelings. Again, I feel one point I would have missed out, that his relationship with himself will come down further down, right? His confidence level, his self-criticism will increase, and he will nowhere, become his friend in this whole situation. What can be done? Acknowledge the emotion as what is said in the book. Anger, yes, anger is coming. I'm hurt because there is something part of which is unfair. Now, unfair is how much part, it doesn't matter. Some part is unfair, I'll have to tell it. I have to learn to express that. Reflect on feedback. Separate what is useful from what is unfair or unclear. If there is something which is not clear, then we'll have to ask question. I'm not getting how you are saying this. Please explain. From what angle are you, from what perspective are you saying this? Practice open communication. Find respectful ways to express thought or ask questions. So sometimes I feel, even I have this hesitance that sometimes I might I might come across harsh. So I just put down my words. But that will not work beyond a point, because then I will never learn to use the right words to express myself. Right? Challenging limiting beliefs, reconsider assumptions like I must not speak up or respect means silence. Develop assertive skills, build confidence to respond calmly and constructively. Seek support. Peers, mentors, coaching. As Mansi said, I will ask for guidance if I'm not able to, come out of it from myself. So I will ask for help from others. Of course, that help also, we have to know that we are confident on that person, right? Use self-compassion. That is very, very most important and stress in this book. Be kind to oneself to reduce fear of judgment or conflict. Because at the end of the day, why we hesitate the feedback is because of the conflict that arises. And since we are not taught to handle conflict well, I feel most of us or many of us end up taking it personally as a personal attack. Because if we learn to handle it as a feedback and as a, handle the whatever conflict comes, I will be able to handle, then I think we'll be more open, and then we will shift from the fixed to the growth mindset. So the cycle has to be broken, and instead of the silent resentment, his relationship and his learning ability has to change. The way he is looking at it as a learning opportunity, or as if it is going to just wipe out his entire future, if he's like overthinking on it, right? Maybe this might feel as an exaggeration of the situation, but what I'm trying to bring in here is a simple, it might seem very simple, but this is what happens in almost many of our interaction, be it with a neighbor, be it with an unknown stranger, be it in office, and more so in the home, right? We take everything personally. We don't actually look into what is happening here and now, and we tend to go into those loops which are very difficult for us to break unless and until we stand a bit afar and look at this. We are made of our past, that is our beliefs. We are not in the moment, so we are not able to read the feedback that is given, right? And what happens is we are continuing to go into a habit mode, which is not useful, and we are not able to break out of that, right? Yeah. So anything anyone wants to add, wants to understand, or wants to add to this?
I just remembered two things which I would just want to just because they're in alignment with what you shared, Maniselvi. So you talked about not seeking help. So people don't seek help, I feel, for two reasons. One is they feel they can solve the problem on their own, and so there was this wonderful quote written on one of my mentors' cabin. So she had this poster which said, "Smart people ask for help." So this is again, there is this belief like where they feel that I can do this on my own, So that is one thing. And the second thing I feel, people, we all hesitate from asking from help at times, because one is we feel that we are smart enough to solve it on our own, and the other, we it's like either the superiority complex or the inferiority complex, or we feel very inferior to ask for help, or we feel shy, or we feel what people will think, how will I be perceived. So I think the ego stops us from going out and being authentic and expressing our vulnerabilities towards someone. We just
Yes,
want to
that
just wear the
vulnerability
mask.
is one thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is, sometimes we feel, as you rightly said, overconfidence or underconfident. And there is one other perspective where I see, people hesitate at a level that, I don't want to trouble the other person. I don't want to create, a botheration for others. So that hesitance seems to be there for we Indians. We want to be
Yes.
polite. Also, I feel at times. So we'll have to basically work on all those aspects to make ourselves better. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very well pointed. Yes, true, true. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyone wants to add, or can we call it a day today?
Very last point, Manaselvi. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the example or case study which you could, is a really practical one. In my life only, I have gone through exactly this type of situation twice, and I literally left my initial jobs at the beginning of the career exactly because of the same reasons, the conflict with the bosses, and as Mansi just mentioned that yes, you need to take help of seniors. So in that situation, it was my father, because I was actually very disturbed when this situation happened in my life. But he used to say from the college days also, he used to say the very only one thing, and that two words are in this book. That's why I love this one. He used to say that move on. When I got the KT, I was the topper. Then I got the KT in engineering. And that was also my mood was down. He said the same word, just move on. And I realized that that mantra kind of thing for me afterwards in many situations in my life. Yes, sometimes people, like I used to think that life is unfair. So this type of emotions definitely strikes you in office situation many times. But that words always stick with me. Move on, because there is a learning experience for you, and you beautifully explain what person needs to do in that situation. That is additional this thing for today's session. But yes, this thing works. Those experiences are there for you for the lesson. If you don't learn from that, they will repeat. So yes, just move on, learning the lessons from that experience. But thank you very much for analyzing this whole case study. Yeah, thank you.
And how this aligns with today's thing is, as the book said, your intention doesn't matter. How you're actually actioning it out finally will matter. Right. So
Yeah,
if you see, even the Raj will have the best of intention that I want to do my best work, but it's not coming out because he's got into this kind of a pattern group. So the larger point I'm trying to make is, the goodness in each one of us is not coming out because of these kind of hurdles that we place in front of ourselves. So let's be at least
Again,
aware of
Mansi,
this.
again, what we discussed today in case studies, basically yes, we are focusing on Raj only. Okay, like his mental status or his identity or his way of dealing with the situation. But the other external factors, environment like boss and cultures and all that, I have gone through this culture and all that. It is not that straightforward. Like I
No,
have seen my
I
colleagues,
agree. It is
that
not
is
so
that is also
straightforward.
big
Yes.
stuff. That is also big stuff. I have seen
Yes.
very confident people, experienced people failed in this type of environment or structure. Failed,
Yes.
literally failed.
So if
Yeah.
Raj can handle himself better, I'm
Yeah.
looking at that possibility.
Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
can take
Case studies
the
there.
any which ways, but he
Yeah.
can at least decide, okay, do I have to continue or do I
Yeah.
not take this?
Yeah.
Again,
But that
going
is
back
a
to the
lesson. Yeah,
same
definitely.
rule that I
Yeah.
talked yesterday, accept what
Yeah.
is
Yeah. So whatever
unchanging.
it does or whatever
Yes.
we do, actually, that the experience that we gain, that is
Yeah.
for life. That is the good thing about that
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So basically, that human nature where we are withholding our goodness is where I'm
Yeah.
pointing it out.
Absolutely.
Let us let that goodness come out and not these things hamper it. That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
really
Thanks everyone. Have a
Thank you.
nice weekend, and yeah. Thank you.
See you on Monday. Cheers. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.